Maria Thompson lived a simple, predictable life in Los Angeles. Every morning she woke up at 6 a.m., brewed herself a cup of coffee, and headed to work by 7:30. Her job as an assistant manager at a small boutique hotel wasn't glamorous, but it gave her stability, a quality Maria valued deeply. She liked knowing what each day would bring, checking reservations, greeting guests with a smile, solving minor problems here and there, and making sure everything ran smoothly. The hotel itself was tucked away on a quiet street, far enough from the chaos of Hollywood Boulevard but close enough to attract its fair share of celebrities. It wasn't one of those massive luxury chains with chandeliers dripping from every ceiling. Instead, it had charm, the kind that came from vintage furniture, soft lighting, and staff who genuinely cared about their guests. Maria fit right in. With her warm personality and knack for problem-solving, she quickly became a favorite among both customers and coworkers. Her days were usually calm, filled with routine tasks like confirming bookings or ensuring rooms were spotless before check-in. But occasionally something exciting would happen. A famous actor might walk through the doors, or a couple celebrating their anniversary would ask for extra candles and champagne. Those moments broke the monotony and made her job feel special. Still, Maria often wondered if this was all life had in store for her. Deep down, she dreamed of bigger things, though she never voiced them aloud. For now, she was content just doing her best at work. One Thursday afternoon, Maria was standing behind the front desk when the glass doors swung open. A tall man wearing sunglasses and a leather jacket stepped inside. He looked tired, his shoulders slumped slightly under the weight of what seemed like a long day. Maria recognized him immediately. It was Vin Diesel. She'd seen him in movies, of course, but seeing him in person was different. Up close, he seemed more human somehow, less like the larger-than-life action star everyone knew. Vin walked straight to the counter, pulling off his sunglasses as he approached. "Hi," he said, his deep voice cutting through the quiet hum of the lobby. "I need a room. Quiet, please." Maria nodded quickly, trying not to let her surprise show. "Of course, Mr. Diesel. Let me take care of that for you." She typed swiftly on her keyboard, finding the perfect suite for him, one on the top floor away from prying eyes. As she handed him the keycard, she noticed how exhausted he looked. His face carried traces of stress, and his hands tightened around the card as if holding onto it for dear life. "Thank you," he muttered before heading toward the elevator. Maria watched him go, feeling a pang of curiosity. What must it be like to live such a high-profile life, to always be followed, photographed, and scrutinized? She shook her head, dismissing the thought. Celebrities stayed at the hotel all the time, and she had learned early on not to pry. Instead, she returned to her duties, filing receipts and answering phone calls. But little did Maria know, this encounter with Vin Diesel would change everything. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. And for Maria, this particular curveball was about to turn her world upside down, in ways she couldn't even begin to imagine. The next few hours passed uneventfully, with Maria going about her usual tasks. She helped a family check in, arranged flowers for a guest's birthday, and made sure the housekeeping staff had everything they needed. But as the sun began to set, the calm of the hotel was suddenly shattered. A loud commotion erupted outside. A swarm of paparazzi had gathered. At the entrance, their cameras flashing like strobe lights. Someone had tipped them off. Vin Diesel was staying at the hotel. Maria rushed to the front doors, her heart pounding. Through the glass, she could see reporters crowding around, shouting questions and snapping photos. The scene was chaotic, almost suffocating. Vin stood near the staircase inside the lobby, looking visibly uncomfortable. He glanced toward the exit, clearly debating whether to make a run for it. Maria instinctively moved closer to him. "Mr. Diesel," she said softly, keeping her voice steady despite the noise outside. "If you'd like, I can help you leave without being seen." Vin turned to her, his expression a mix of relief and skepticism. "How?" he asked, his deep voice barely audible over the clamor. "There's a back entrance," Maria explained quickly. "It leads to the parking lot. No one will notice if we move fast." Without waiting for further discussion, Maria grabbed a set of keys from behind the desk. It was the spare set to her own car, and motioned for Vin to follow her. They slipped through a side hallway, avoiding the main lobby entirely. Maria walked briskly, glancing over her shoulder to ensure no one followed them. Vin stayed close behind, his large frame somehow managing to remain inconspicuous. When they reached the back door, Maria pushed it open cautiously. The cool evening air greeted them, along with the faint hum of distant traffic. Her car sat parked just a few feet away, its silver exterior gleaming under the dim lights of the lot. Maria unlocked the doors and handed the keys to Vin. "Take this," she said firmly. "It'll get you out of here safely." Vin hesitated, staring at the keys in his hand. "I can't take your car," he protested. "What about you?" "I'll figure something out," Maria replied with a reassuring smile. "Right now, your safety matters more. Just go before they find you." For a moment, Vin looked torn between gratitude and guilt. Then, with a nod, he climbed into the driver's seat. Before closing the door, he leaned out slightly. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "You didn't have to do this, but thank you." Maria waved dismissively, though her stomach churned with nerves. Watching him drive away felt surreal, like something out of a movie. She stood there for a moment longer, listening as the sound of the engine faded into the night. Only then did she realize what she had done and what it might mean for her. As she re-entered the hotel, the reality of the situation hit her. The paparazzi were still camped outside, growing restless now that their target had vanished. Staff members whispered among themselves, speculating about how Vin had managed to escape. Some shot curious glances at Maria, but she avoided meeting anyone's eyes. Instead, she returned to her post, trying to act as though nothing unusual had happened. But, deep down, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that trouble was brewing. She had broken protocol by helping Vin leave, not to mention giving him her personal vehicle. While she knew she had done the right thing, part of her wondered if anyone else would see it that way. Still, she pushed those thoughts aside. There was no turning back now. Little did Maria know, her decision to help Vin Diesel would set off a chain reaction that would change her life forever. For better or worse, she was about to learn that even the smallest acts of kindness can have enormous consequences, and soon enough the world would be watching. The next morning, Maria arrived at work with a knot in her stomach. The parking lot was eerily quiet compared to the chaos of the previous night, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As she stepped into the lobby, the usual hum of activity seemed muted. Her coworkers glanced at her as she walked by, their expressions unreadable. Some offered polite smiles, while others avoided eye contact altogether. It wasn't hard to tell that word about what had happened with Vin Diesel had already spread. By mid-morning, her suspicions were confirmed. A sharp knock on her office door startled her, and before she could respond, the general manager, Mr. Caldwell, entered. His face was stern, his lips pressed into a thin line. He held a folder in one hand and gestured for Maria to sit down. "Maria," he began, his tone cold and formal. "We need to talk about last night." Her heart sank. She nodded slowly, bracing herself for what was coming next. "Of course, sir. What's this about?" Mr. Caldwell placed the folder on her desk and opened it, revealing printed emails and notes. "It has come to our attention that you assisted Mr. Diesel in leaving the premises using an unauthorized exit, and your personal vehicle, no less. Do you care to explain yourself?" Maria swallowed hard, her mind racing. "I was just trying to help him, sir. The paparazzi were overwhelming, and I thought it would be best to ensure his safety." "I didn't mean to cause any trouble." Caldwell sighed heavily, shaking his head. "Maria, I understand your intentions, but you violated company policy. Guests are expected to use designated exits unless there's a security protocol in place. And giving away your car keys, that's completely unacceptable. You put the hotel's reputation at risk." "I don't think anyone even noticed," Maria started, but Caldwell cut her off. "It doesn't matter if they noticed or not. This is a high-profile situation, and actions like yours reflect poorly on us. We pride ourselves on professionalism, and unfortunately your behavior fell far short of that standard. Maria opened her mouth to defend herself, but the words caught in her throat. How could she make him understand? Vin Diesel had been cornered, stressed and desperate for a way out. Helping him hadn't felt wrong. It had felt necessary. But arguing wouldn't change anything. Caldwell's mind was clearly made up. After a long pause, he slid a piece of paper across the desk. This is your termination letter. Effective immediately, you're no longer employed here. Maria stared at the document, her vision blurring as tears welled up in her eyes. She wanted to protest, to scream that she had done nothing wrong, but she knew it wouldn't help. Instead, she forced herself to stay calm, signing the paper with trembling hands. When she stood up to leave, Caldwell offered a curt nod and said, "I'm sorry it had to come to this." Walking out of the office felt surreal. Colleagues who had once laughed and joked with her now looked away awkwardly. Some whispered behind, cupped hands while others gave sympathetic glances. Maria kept her head down, clutching her belongings tightly as she made her way to the exit. Once outside, she leaned against the wall, taking deep breaths to steady herself. She replayed the events of the past 24 hours in her mind. Had she made a mistake? Should she have followed protocol instead of trusting her instincts? The questions swirled endlessly, but deep down she knew she couldn't regret helping someone in need. Still, the weight of losing her job hit her hard. This wasn't just a career setback, it was a blow to her sense of identity. For years, the hotel had been her second home. Now it was gone. As Maria drove home in silence, she wondered how things had gone so wrong so quickly. She had acted out of kindness, yet here she was, unemployed and unsure of what the future held. Little did she know, her story was far from over. Unbeknownst to her, the very person she had helped was about to step back into her life. And when he did, nothing would ever be the same again. Maria spent the next few days in a haze of disbelief and frustration. Her apartment felt smaller than ever, the walls closing in as she replayed the events over and over in her mind. She updated her resume half-heartedly, scrolling through job listings but struggling to focus. The rejection from her former workplace stung deeply, not just because she loved her job, but because she had genuinely believed she was doing the right thing. Helping Vin Diesel hadn't been about fame or recognition. It was simply about being kind. And yet, here she was, paying the price for it. On the third day after her firing, Maria's phone buzzed unexpectedly. She glanced at the screen, expecting another automated text or spam call. Instead, an unknown number flashed across the display. Hesitant, she answered. "Hello? Maria?" Came a deep, familiar voice on the other end. For a moment, she froze, unsure if she was imagining things. Yes? Who is this?" she asked cautiously. "It's Vin Diesel," the voice replied. There was no mistaking it now. The unmistakable tone, calm and commanding. Maria's heart skipped a beat. "Oh my goodness," she breathed, sinking onto the edge of her couch. "Mr. Diesel, hi, how are you?" "I'm fine, thank you," he said warmly. "But I need to talk to you about something important." Maria blinked, caught off guard. "Sure, of course. What's going on?" There was a brief pause before Vin spoke again, his voice tinged with seriousness. "I heard about what happened at the hotel, about how you were fired because of me." Maria's cheeks flushed, embarrassed that he even knew. "It's okay, really," she said quickly, trying to downplay the situation. "These things happen, I'll figure something out." "No, Maria, it's not okay," Vin interrupted firmly. "You went above and beyond for me when I needed help. You didn't have to do that, but you did, and now you've lost your job because of it. That's unacceptable." His words caught her off guard. No one had stood up for her like this. Not her coworkers, not her boss, not even her closest friends. She swallowed hard, unsure of what to say. "Thank you for caring," she managed finally, "but there's nothing anyone can do about it now." Vin chuckled softly, though there was no humor in it. "That's where you're wrong. Let me meet you tomorrow. We'll talk face to face, and I'll explain everything. Trust me, I want..." To make this right, Maria hesitated. Meeting Vin Diesel again felt surreal, almost too good to be true, but something in his voice, his sincerity, his determination, made her trust him. Okay, she agreed quietly. Where should we meet? They settled on a small cafe near her apartment, one far enough from the spotlight to ensure privacy. When they hung up, Maria stared at her phone for several minutes, her mind racing. Was this really happening? Or was she dreaming? The next morning, Maria arrived at the cafe early, nerves buzzing in her chest. She ordered a coffee and sat by the window watching the street outside. A few minutes later, a sleek black car pulled up and Vin stepped out. He looked every bit the movie star, wearing dark sunglasses and a leather jacket, but his demeanor softened as soon as he spotted her. With a wave, he approached the table. Maria, he greeted, pulling off his glasses and offering a warm smile. Thanks for meeting me. Of course, she replied, standing awkwardly before sitting back down. This is unexpected. I imagine it is, Vin said, taking a seat across from her. But let me start by saying this. I owe you. Big time. Not many people would have done what you did for me. Maria shook her head, embarrassed. Honestly, I didn't think twice about it. Anyone would have done the same. But they didn't, Vin countered gently. And that's what makes you special. Now tell me, what exactly happened after I left? Maria recounted the story, explaining how her actions had violated company policy and led to her termination. As she spoke, Vin listened intently, his expression growing darker with each detail. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair, exhaling sharply. This is ridiculous, he muttered. You helped me and they punished you for it. That's not fair. I know, Maria admitted, her voice soft. But life isn't always fair, right? Vin frowned, shaking his head. Not this time. Not on my watch. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Let me ask you something, Maria. If I could change this outcome, if I could give you opportunities bigger than anything you've imagined, would you let me? Maria blinked, stunned. What do you mean? Mean, Vin said, his eyes locking onto hers. That I'm not letting this go. You deserve better than what happened. And if anyone tries to stand in your way, they'll have to answer to me. For the first time in days, Maria felt a flicker of hope. She didn't fully understand what Vin had planned. But one thing was clear. He wasn't going to back down. Whatever happened next, she realized, might just change her life forever. The next morning, Maria woke up with a mix of emotions swirling in her mind. Vin Diesel's words from their meeting at the cafe replayed over and over in her head. You deserve better, he had said. If anyone tries to stand in your way, they'll have to answer to me. The confidence in his voice was undeniable, but Maria couldn't help feeling skeptical. How much could one person, even someone as powerful as Vin Diesel, really do to change her situation? Her doubts didn't last long. By mid-afternoon, her phone buzzed with notifications, each more surprising than the last. It started with a single post on Vin's Instagram account, a photo of him standing beside what looked like her car, along with a heartfelt caption. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. They work behind hotel desks. A few days ago, I met an incredible woman named Maria Thompson who showed me what true kindness looks like. She risked her job to help me escape a chaotic situation, and because of that, she lost everything. This isn't right. Let's show her that doing the right thing still matters. Within minutes, the post went viral. Comments flooded in, praising Maria's actions and calling out the hotel for firing her. Fans expressed outrage, flooding the hotel's social media pages with messages demanding justice. Some even tagged major news outlets, ensuring the story reached a wider audience. Hashtags like #Justice for Maria and Freeing Kindness Matters began trending worldwide. But Vin didn't stop there. Leveraging his vast network, he reached out to influential figures in Hollywood, producers, directors, agents, and executives, to share Maria's story. One producer immediately offered her a temporary position at a talent agency, saying, "Anyone Vin vouches for is worth meeting." Another set up a crowdfunding campaign to support her during this transition period. Within hours, thousands, of dollars poured in from strangers touched by her story. Maria watched all of this unfold from her apartment, glued to her laptop screen. Her phone rang nonstop with calls and texts from friends, family, and people she hadn't heard from in years. Reporters requested interviews, bloggers wrote articles about her, and fans sent messages of encouragement. For the first time since being fired, Maria felt seen, not just as a victim of unfair circumstances, but as someone whose actions mattered. A few days later, Vin called her again. "How are you holding up?" he asked, his tone warm and concerned. "I'm overwhelmed," Maria admitted, laughing nervously. "I can't believe any of this is happening." "Well, get used to it," Vin replied with a chuckle. "Because we're just getting started. Listen, I've been talking to some people, and there's an opportunity for you at a top-tier talent agency. They're willing to bring you on board as a coordinator. It's not exactly where you were before, but it's a step toward something bigger." Maria's breath caught in her throat. "Are you serious? That sounds amazing, but also terrifying." "You'll be great," Vin assured her. "And if anyone gives you trouble, you tell them to call me. Got it?" "Got it," Maria said, smiling despite herself. Deep down, she knew she couldn't rely on Vin forever, but his unwavering support gave her the courage to take the leap. As the days passed, opportunities continued pouring in. Local businesses offered her free meals and services, while career coaches volunteered to guide her through resume building and interview prep. Even the hotel staff, emboldened by the public backlash, began speaking out against the management's decision to fire her. Former co-workers messaged her privately, apologizing for staying silent and thanking her for inspiring them to stand up for themselves. Through it all, Maria remained humble, never forgetting why she had acted the way she did. She wasn't seeking fame or fortune. She had simply wanted to help someone in need. Now, thanks to Vin's intervention and the collective power of strangers around the world, her act of kindness was being rewarded in ways she never imagined. Still, Maria knew this was only the beginning. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but for the first time in weeks, she felt hopeful. With Vin's guidance and the support of countless others, she was ready to embrace whatever came next, and prove that kindness truly does pay off in the end. Part 6. Co-expand KRO without heading. 470 words in simple English words. It should be interesting, and every part should be engaging so the audience doesn't get bored. And don't use any violated word. Avoid any violated content. Quen 2.5 Max 11:35 p.m. Maria's first day at the talent agency felt like stepping into a completely different world. The office was sleek and modern, with glass walls, buzzing energy, and people rushing around with headsets and tablets. It was nothing like the cozy, predictable environment of the hotel where she had spent so many years. At first, Maria felt out of place, intimidated by the fast pace and unfamiliar jargon. But she quickly reminded herself why she was there: to grow, to learn, and to prove that she could thrive in this new chapter. Her initial role as a coordinator involved managing schedules, organizing meetings, and ensuring smooth communication between clients and agents. Though it wasn't glamorous work, Maria approached every task with her trademark diligence and care. Her natural ability to connect with people soon became an asset. Clients appreciated her warmth, while colleagues admired her problem-solving skills. Within weeks, she earned a reputation as someone who could handle anything thrown her way, calmly, efficiently, and with a smile. But what truly set Maria apart was her authenticity. Unlike some of the more seasoned professionals in the industry, she didn't try to impress others with flashy attitudes or rehearsed lines. Instead, she stayed true to herself, treating everyone, from A-list celebrities to interns, with respect and kindness. Word of her professionalism spread quickly, and before long, higher-ups began taking notice. One afternoon, Vin called her unexpectedly. "How's it going?" he asked, his deep voice carrying its usual warmth. "It's going well," Maria replied, smiling as she leaned back in her chair. "I'm learning a lot, though I still feel like I'm figuring things out." "You're doing better than you think," Vin said confidently. "In fact, I've been hearing great things about you from my contacts. They say you're a natural." Maria blushed, grateful for his encouragement but unsure how to respond. Before she could thank him, Vin continued, "Listen, I've got another idea. What would you say to joining my team full-time, as my personal assistant?" Maria froze, certain she'd misheard him. "Wait, what?" "I need someone I can trust," Vin explained. "Someone smart, organized, and kind, who understands what it means to go above and beyond. You fit all those boxes perfectly. Plus, let's face it, I owe you big time." For a moment, Maria couldn't speak. Joining Vin Diesel's team sounded like a dream come true, but it also felt overwhelming. Could she really handle such a high-profile position? Would she be able to meet his expectations? "Vin, I don't know what to say," she admitted finally. "This is incredible. But are you sure? I mean, I've only been in this industry for a few months." "That's exactly why I'm asking now," Vin replied. "You've already proven yourself under pressure, and besides, I'll make sure you have all the support you need. Think about it. You'd travel with me, help manage my schedule, and basically be part of everything I do. It's not just a job. It's an opportunity to see the world and grow in ways you never imagined." Maria took a deep breath, letting the weight of his words sink in. She thought about the past few months, the challenges, the victories, and the lessons she'd learned along the way. This was her chance to take a leap of faith, to step into something bigger and bolder than she'd ever dreamed possible. "Yes," she said firmly, surprising even herself with her confidence. "I'll do it." Vin laughed, clearly pleased. "That's my girl. Welcome to the team, Maria." Over the following weeks, Maria dove headfirst into her new role. Working directly with Vin meant long hours, constant travel, and navigating unpredictable situations. But she thrived on the challenge. From coordinating film shoots to arranging private events, she proved herself indispensable. Along the way, she discovered talents she didn't know she had, negotiating contracts, handling media inquiries, and even managing public relations during high-stakes moments. More importantly, Maria found joy in her work. For the first time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be, not because of fame or fortune, but because she was using her strengths to make a difference. Every day brought new adventures, new connections, and new opportunities to grow. And through it all, Vin remained not just her boss, but her mentor and friend. A constant reminder that one act of kindness could change everything. As Maria boarded yet another plane, her calendar filled with exciting plans, she realized something profound. Life had a way of rewarding those who dared to believe in themselves and in others. Maria's journey with Vin Diesel quickly became a whirlwind of excitement, challenges, and growth. Traveling the world with one of Hollywood's biggest stars was nothing short of surreal. From bustling film sets in Budapest to glamorous red carpet events in Cannes, Maria experienced things she'd only ever seen in movies. But it wasn't just the glitz and glamour that defined her new life. It was the people she met, the lessons she learned, and the person she was becoming. Working as Vin's personal assistant pushed Maria out of her comfort zone in ways she never expected. She coordinated complex schedules spanning multiple time zones, negotiated contracts with high-profile producers, and handled delicate situations when things didn't go according to plan. There were moments of stress, like when flights were delayed or last-minute changes threw off an entire day's itinerary. But Maria thrived under pressure, earning the trust not only of Vin but also of everyone around him, agents, managers, and even other celebrities. What set Maria apart was her ability to stay grounded despite the chaos. While others in her position might have been dazzled by fame, Maria remained focused on what truly mattered: helping people. Whether it was ensuring Vin had a quiet moment to rest after a long shoot, or making sure his team felt valued and supported, Maria approached every task with genuine care. Her kindness and professionalism earned her respect far beyond Vin's inner circle. As months turned into years, Maria's role evolved. She wasn't just an assistant anymore. She was a trusted confidant and integral part of Vin's operations. He often joked that he didn't know how he'd manage before she came along. "You're the glue that holds everything together," he told her once during a late-night conversation at a hotel bar. "Don't ever forget that." But Maria's impact went beyond Vin's career. Inspired by her story, several industry leaders reached out to her, asking for advice on fostering kindness and integrity in their own teams. Maria began speaking at small networking events, sharing her experiences and encouraging others to prioritize empathy in their work. Her message resonated deeply, especially among young professionals eager to make their mark without losing sight of their values. Despite her success, Maria never forgot where she came from, or the injustice that had sparked her journey. The Biadish memory of being fired for doing the right thing stayed with her, fueling her desire to create change. With Vin's encouragement, she started envisioning a way to give back to those who faced similar struggles. Hospitality workers in particular were often overlooked and undervalued, their contributions dismissed behind the scenes. Maria wanted to shine a light on their importance and advocate for better treatment across the industry. By this point, Maria had become a recognizable figure in her own right. People admired not just her accomplishments but her humility and authenticity. She carried herself with grace, always deflecting praise onto others and crediting her success to teamwork and perseverance. Yet beneath her modest exterior lay a fierce determination to leave the world better than she found it. One evening, while attending a charity gala with Vin, Maria found herself reflecting on how far she'd come. Standing beside him on the red carpet, cameras flashing and fans cheering, she realized something profound. Her journey hadn't been about escaping her past. It had been about transforming it. Every challenge, every setback had led her here, to a place where she could use her voice and influence to uplift others. And so, as she smiled for the photographers and waved to the crowd, Maria knew her story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Years had passed since Maria first stepped into the world of Hollywood, but her journey was anything but ordinary. What started as a single act of kindness had transformed her life in ways she could never have imagined. Now, standing on stage at a global conference alongside Vin Diesel, Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude, not just for where she was, but for how far she'd come. The conference hall buzzed with energy as attendees filled the seats, eager to hear from some of the most influential figures in entertainment and philanthropy. When Vin introduced Maria to the audience, the room erupted into applause. She walked up to the podium, her heart pounding, and took a moment to soak it all in. The sea of faces staring back at her represented people from all walks of life, dreamers, doers, and believers who wanted to make a difference. "Thank you," Maria began, her voice steady despite the nerves fluttering in her chest. "When I agreed to help someone in need years ago, I never thought it would lead me here, to this stage sharing my story with all of you. But sometimes life has a way of turning small actions into something much bigger." She paused, glancing at Vin, who sat smiling proudly in the front row. "I learned early on that doing the right thing isn't always easy. In fact, it can cost you dearly. But if we let fear stop us from being kind, we lose sight of what truly matters: helping others and staying true to ourselves." Maria went on to talk about her nonprofit organization, which she had founded to support hospitality workers facing unjust circumstances. Through mentorship programs, financial aid, and advocacy campaigns, the foundation aimed to give a voice to those often overlooked. "These workers are the backbone of our industries," Maria explained. "They keep hotels running, restaurants thriving, and events seamless. Yet too often they're treated as disposable. That's why we're fighting to change the narrative, to ensure no one is punished for doing the right thing." The crowd listened intently, many nodding in agreement. Maria shared stories of individuals whose lives had been impacted by her foundation: a single mother who regained her job after wrongful termination, a young server who received scholarships to pursue his education, and countless others who found hope when they needed it most. Each story was a testament to the power of collective action and compassion. As she wrapped up her speech, Maria turned to Vin, inviting him to join her on stage. Together, they announced a new initiative: a partnership between Maria's nonprofit and several major studios to create better working conditions for behind-the-scenes professionals. "This is just the beginning," Vin said, his voice resonating through the hall. Because of Maria's courage, we're taking steps toward a future where kindness and fairness aren't exceptions. They're expectations. The audience erupted into applause once again, rising to their feet in admiration. For Maria, the moment was overwhelming yet fulfilling. She had spent years wondering if she'd made the right choice by helping Vin that fateful night. Now, surrounded by thousands of cheering supporters, she knew without a doubt that she had. In the months that followed, Maria continued to expand her foundation, traveling the world to spread its mission. She became a sought-after speaker, inspiring audiences with her message of resilience and empathy. Meanwhile, her bond with Vin remained as strong as ever. Though their paths occasionally diverged due to busy schedules, they stayed connected, united by a shared commitment to making the world a better place. Looking back, Maria realized her journey wasn't just about personal success. It was about creating ripples of change. By standing up for what was right, she had inspired others to do the same. And now, thanks to her efforts, countless lives were being touched in meaningful ways. As she stood on another stage months later, addressing a group of aspiring leaders, Maria smiled warmly. "Life will test you," she told them. "It will challenge your beliefs and push you to your limits. But remember this, even the smallest act of kindness can spark a chain reaction. So be brave, be kind, and trust that the rest will fall into place." Her words echoed through the room, leaving an indelible mark on everyone present. Maria Thompson may have started as an ordinary woman with a simple dream, but her legacy would endure. A shining example of how one person's courage could change the world, one act of kindness at a time.